There we go. Thanks.
We should be good now to start. And so I'll share my screen again. All righty. And so then to get started, so this webinar is going to be discussion based. And so we're going to be going over a couple different items today, but we really want everyone to interact as much as possible. So at the end of each slide, we do have an interactive question for you guys. So feel free to come off mute or go into the chat, and Tava and I will be moderating the chat as well. So we're going to go into our current funding, some reminders for web grants, our round 2 funding, site visits, and then project concerns and setbacks. So feel free to unmute at any time if you want to bring up any concerns that you have or anything that your program is dealing with.
All right, for some just quick reminders, again, for ARPA 1014, there is no one item or piece of equipment over 5,000. We cannot stress that enough, so please remember that as you are making your purchases. For web grants, it is due by the 15th of the following month. July 15th submission for month of June 2023 must be on time. So if you miss that July 15th one, there's a chance that you might not get reimbursed for those purchases. Don't forget, web grants likes to be a little high maintenance. You got to click save after uploading all documents, then click mark as complete. The final step, you click submit. It's not set in stone. If you forget something after you click submit, you can email us right away and we can send that off to the internal team. So we're about halfway through our period of performance. So just a quick show of hands. Could you please just raise your hand if you feel like your program is on track to spend all of your funding by June 30th? I was gonna say, if you're off camera too, you can just put up a little hand. Awesome.
And then just one reminder with funding, we do need to make sure that if you do want to do any of the budget modifications, it is going to be a little bit more tricky if you've had a contract with NCFF before. And so we're going to really urge you guys to stick as close to your current budget justifications as possible. And then if you need to do a budget modification, it will have to go to Noelle and Kara and then to our funding partners at DHHS. So it will take a little bit longer. So we're just going to try to stick to those budget modifications or the budget justifications as close to as possible. Did anyone have any concerns about your program being on track to spend? If so, you can come off mute. Alrighty. I'm really bad at pausing, so if anybody does and I move on, just let me know. So next, we're going to go into our site visits. So since we're halfway through our contract period, site visits will be getting scheduled soon if you haven't already had one yet. And this is not going to be scary. This isn't like a licensing inspection coming in. We're here to support your amazing projects and your communities. We want to alleviate the stress and not add to it. So please don't, roll out the red carpet or anything. We're here to help you guys as much as possible. And we don't mind messes. So we understand that this is a construction site. It's not going to be super clean. So don't worry about that. We want to just come and help you guys out as much as possible, and then also get to see how far your project is going as well. And so then our question with this one is, would you prefer to have 1 or 2 site visits? We could do one in the middle and one at the end. Is there any specific preferences that are out there that if you haven't already voiced any of your concerns?
Feel free to put this in the chat too.
All right, Karen's saying 1 would be great. And I know some of the programs won't be open by that June 30th, 2023. They'll be open by the 2024. And so Nicole said that she's open to either and always happy to have visitors. And Adela said 1.
Perfect.
And then Megan Fish at Little Vibes says 2 would be awesome. An April and a finish.
And I was going to say we could do it differently depending on the program. So like Megan, I can come out and see you in April and June. Before Adela, maybe just one in June when construction is really underway.
Yeah, I've had the pleasure of already meeting with Maria at Educondo, and it was wonderful. Her program was gorgeous. So we are super excited to see everybody else's programs.
Okay, just a reminder of the timeline for round 2. I don't know how many of you are planning to apply, which we'll talk about at the end of this slide. The timeline, all applications are due March 24th at 5 p.m. Central Time and 4 p.m. Mountain Time. The awarded recipients are notified on May 15th. That contract period will be from July 1st of 2023 till June 30th of 2024. So this round has a full year, which will be very helpful, as you guys know, for construction. This is very different than the DHHS Business and Childcare Partnership Grant. Katrina and I do not have anything to do with the DHHS Business and Childcare Partnership Grant. They are somewhat similar, but we're not able to answer any specific questions you might have on that grant. We would be happy to provide you with a link if you want to apply, but other than that, we can't be of much assistance there. Anything you wanted to add to that, Katrina?
Nope. And just if you have anybody who is interested in the DHHS business one, we just like to refer you guys back to our funding partners at DHHS.
Yes. So we're really curious to know if your program will be applying for the ARPA 1020 round 2. Again, you can put it in the chat, raise your hand. If you're off camera, just put up the little like emoji guy. We're just very curious. We're excited to get going on another round.
And if you guys have any questions about round 2, now would be a good time to ask as well.
Oh, yes. Well, I don't have any question, but I would like to say that yes, I'm gonna apply. But I don't know, Katrina, if you can send me again the link so I could share this with another childcare providers, and maybe home childcare providers some of those group were asking me about this grant.
I can send that out along with these slides and the recording at the end of the meeting.
Thank you.
No problem. It looks like quite a few of you guys will be applying, and I know some applications have already been sent in, so that's really exciting. We're really excited to get our review committee going to start reviewing these, and then we'll send out all of the rewarded ones and the rejected ones on May 15th. And so I do know that some of you may be feeling like this throughout this process, since we only have 6 months for this construction project. The weather, obviously yesterday was 60 degrees in Lincoln, and now it's snowy and windy and just crazy. So we do know that this is exactly how some of you guys are feeling. So we'd like to open this time to any concerns that your project is facing. We have Noelle and Kara here from Web Grants, and Shauna, who has experience with licensing. And so we just like to be able to assist you guys at all if there's any concerns that are coming up or any questions that you guys may have. If no one has any, oh, go ahead, Shauna.
I was just going to ask Stephanie if she would talk a little bit about the experience her and Diana are having about the Prepare to Care First of all, all the steps it takes to access it, how to access it, and kind of the barrier that it has provided. Although I do think they're going to overcome that barrier and help a group of people succeed. But could you just, I don't know, Stephanie, do you feel comfortable kind of talking about that?
Sure. I'll kind of do a recap and then reel me in, or let me know if I'm missing anything. But I mean, with Shauna's a little bit of background and experience with licensing, I actually was not aware that having an email was a requirement to acquire your childcare license. However, what we've been running into is a lot of the Spanish speaking providers that we have been supporting don't have any tech experience or don't have an email address. And so, to sign up for the course, to take the course Prepare to Care, you need to sign up for a Canvas account, and you need to have an email address, and you need to have access to your email. And so that has kind of been a barrier, because a lot of the providers that I work with, they have an email, but they, navigating the tech experience with it and actually remembering their passwords or knowing if they even have an email or they don't has been an issue. And so there's quite a bit of providers that I'm working, Spanish speaking providers that I'm working with at the current moment on track to get their license. And so kind of what our team here in Lexington with Diana and with the help of Shauna and Maricela from ESU 10, we have been able to gather a space at the Lexington Public Library and we're going to have it next week. So I don't know how it's going to go really, but we kind of have an agenda or a plan of how we hope it goes. But it's going to require a lot of technical assistance for sure in the beginning. And so what our hope is, every provider is going to have access to a computer, and we are going to step-by-step help them create an email, probably if necessary, help them obviously register for a Canvas account to be able to take the training. And then hopefully once we get them all up and started, we hope to have headphones for them and kind of work at their own pace once we get them into the course to start it. But I don't know, it's just unfortunate that that's kind of a barrier especially for our Spanish speaking providers, being able to access that training. And so that's kind of been our situation currently.
That's, Stephanie, you put it very eloquently, because the words I used when they went through the steps was not very kind. I think this barrier is not necessarily a barrier because they're Spanish speaking. This is a barrier when the reply back was maybe your individuals need technology training. I think if you need technology training to take a required choice to become licensing, then you've just missed the point. If that's the only way to access this training is if people who are technologically advanced can do it. Because the thing that that's happening is that a lot of people have their email on their phone, right? You just push a button and it just comes up. A lot of people don't understand how they actually got to that point, but now that they do, they just push a button and there's your email. So when you do the Canvas, you register on Canvas, and then they send you an email, and you have to register, you have to access Canvas on that email. So when you use a Lexington Library computer, your email's not on that computer. So you have to be able to log in to understand, like either log into Microsoft or log into iCloud or log into Google to actually get into your email on that computer. So then you can bring that training up on the device you're using. So those, we know that will take some step-by-step work to do if they have email. I think majority probably do, but again, if it's on your phone, you just push the button and there's your email. It's not on the Lexington computer that you're using at the library. So yeah, it's going to take a little bit of time to work through that. And then Stephanie, remind me too that so when they're done, also going back to their email to be able to print their certificate when they're done. So like, I don't know how many people actually have printers in their own homes. If you only have a cell phone as your only device that you use as your electronic device. So I don't know. I just think it's interesting that, again, I don't think this is a language barrier. I believe it is, if that's your only access to this particular training to be able to get a license, I see it as a barrier of just people who don't either A, have laptops or devices in their own homes, have internet in their own homes, or have printers in their own homes to do this class that you have to apply for a license.
That is amazing, though, that Stephanie and Lexington, you guys are doing such amazing work. It's really inspiring that you guys are helping out these providers so much. But that is a huge barrier, especially if people don't have access to those things. Like, I don't even have a printer. So
yes, yes. That we in MLCDC working in the childcare program, childcare development program, that we now, I'm sorry, the Prepare to Care now is in Spanish, right? But before this change, it was in English only. So what that we did in MLCDC is we use a screen TV, big screen TV. We bring all the childcare future childcare providers and show them all the information, the videos, and all those things. And we used to we work with each one in the computer, try to help them, because yes, it's not easy. You need to pass every chapter before to the next one, if not, that don't allow you to pass, and you need to spend more than 3 hours because you are not because the language barrier.
And we even asked, like, for example, the orientation, the pre-licensing orientation is still something that yet has to be in Spanish. But I was able to actually, again, gather a group and just translate that and do it within a group and finish it and go through it and print everyone who was attending a certificate at the end. And so we asked if we could do a similar model with Prepare to Care. That would have been so much easier. But the thing is that each individual has to have a Canvas account with their name registered to be able to go to modules to then be able to generate a certificate.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been difficult.
But it's necessary. yes, it's very important before I start with a childcare.
I think there's such a need for all those resources to be in Spanish. And that's something that we have been trying to be more aware of, especially with this second round of ARPA, really trying to work with, I think we have a lot of our resources that we've translated into Spanish, and they're going to be able to submit their proposals in Spanish. So we're really trying, it's such a learning process. And like you said, it is so necessary. So I hope that we continue to really move on this path.
I want to say thank you for everything. What are you doing for me? Thank you. Thanks. I appreciate. Thank you.
You are so welcome. So deserving. I was going to say in the chat, Adela said that she's concerned because the weather's not helping, which I'm sure all of you are frustrated with this as well. Spring just needs to come. It was feeling like it the last couple of days, and then I got snow today. Disappointing.
I'm going to stop sharing our screen because this is our last slide so everyone can see each other. But we'd love to have people just pop in and say, what your program is doing, or if you have any questions, because it's really helpful for the other communities to hear the struggles that you're going through, as well as just hearing what projects you guys are doing as well.
Hey, Katrina, it's Karen. out here in Ainsworth, I'll go first. I'm not turning my camera on because I've been on the road and look like I've been hit by a freight train. But up here in Ainsworth, so we, bought a building. So we're doing just straight up gutting the whole thing, remodeling. And so we just, I think on Friday last week, got our final drawings and like approved fire marshal stamps and everything from the architects down in Kearney. And we just had a call today that was super helpful for our group with our construction core team, if you will. So there's 4 of us from the board, and then our contractor and the architect, and then the Lund company. And we were specifically speaking about, here's our deadlines for ARPA. Like, we're getting billing until we have it all spent every other week, just to kind of expedite. So all those subcontractors. So demo is essentially done, which is amazing. So they're getting all of the subcontractors are aware of our timeline with these funds. And so they're all getting the bills to our contractor every other week. So that's really helping us make sure we hit that deadline in time. Ideally, we're going to have it all spent by June 15th. Fingers crossed. And so one of the buckets that our funds are in are for appliances. And so it was like, we had this huge list of appliances from a local business. And so it was like being very clear with our project management team and the architect, like, hey, we got the list. Now you need to tell us which ones we need to get. So you can't be the delay for that, portion of those funds. Like, we can take care of everything else locally because it's all construction, but this $20,000 is for appliances. So now it's your turn to get your, crap together and get us here's the list. You pick which ones we need to get. So I think it's just been very helpful for us spending our money to be very clear and direct on, this is what we need from you. You will not be the delay that we don't get our funds spent.
That's such a great idea to handle it, because it is such a short time frame, and contractors do sometimes, let things slide for a little bit. So the every other week thing is a great idea, and I'll be passing that along to everybody else who wasn't able to make it to this meeting. You guys out in Ainsworth are doing amazing work, and you guys are just total rock stars out there.
Yeah. Thank you for saying that. We feel like we're drowning regularly, but thank you for, if it weren't for Melissa, talking me off the ledge a lot, I don't think we'd be where we're at today. So you guys are all doing a fantastic job supporting us.
You are doing amazing, Karen. I know there's been a lot going on. So I just wanted to tell you how much I appreciate you and the whole Ainsworth team.
Well, thank you. Thank you. So I guess that's my update for what's going on out here in no man's land.
Well, thank you for jumping in.
Yeah, you bet.
I'd like to share with Lexington. I know we had a few providers who we applied for, and one of them passed her her DHHS inspection and was issued her license. So that's huge for us. And then for one of our other projects, the contractor has everything bought for the most part, and we're just waiting on weather to get nicer to kind of just break ground on that extension for that project, but everything's going well so far.
That's really exciting, especially that she passed the inspection. And the contractor, yes, definitely waiting for weather, because I know some people haven't even been able to start to dig yet. So
this is Katie in Central City. I didn't know how many people were on here. I didn't want to jump ahead of anyone. So our project, along with the help of CURSA funds, has been underway for a little bit. So these funds were very timely for us. The majority of it is going to HVAC and windows, and most of the windows are in place, and HVAC is scheduled to be delivered this month. I think it might be here, but it's not installed yet. And then our only hiccup is that I got a little jump the gun and wrote a check for all of it first. And so I'm waiting for it all to be on site to submit for reimbursement. So I've just put zeros in for now, but I think it's all spent, and hopefully maybe in this month or the next reimbursement, I should be able to get it all taken care of.
That's awesome. We are super excited to see those larger amounts come rolling in.
Yeah, that being said, I'm sure you guys have been told this, but right now with the weather, if you're at a standstill with construction, you can really make sure you can be making those purchases that you know you're going to need as soon as construction starts. That way you have it and you're ready to go. So you can start spending some of those funds without the construction, without, digging up the ground.
So how would you submit for reimbursement at that point? Or you just wouldn't, but you can start spending?
So
are you talking more about tape? Are you referring to like materials you might need?
like toys, supplies, cribs, anything like that might be in your budget. Sorry, I should have been more specific.
No, that's okay. Yep, got it.
And I don't think Sky High's on here, but what they did is they have a really good relationship with their contractor. So their contractor pre-ordered all of their stuff while they were waiting for the fire marshal to get in, and they're waiting for their architect. And so they have all their stuff sitting in a warehouse, thankfully, and they're not charging them rent or anything. And then once they got the architect to sign off, then they were able to just get started right away. So that is an option for some people.
I can share about me. My camera will not turn on. I don't know what's wrong with my computer, but I will not get it to work. So thankfully my fiance is doing like 99% of the work. So we don't have to pay anybody else to do that. So that is awesome. And we were planning on being done the beginning of June, but we should be done in the next month or two now because things have been going great and the way we planned.
Yes, it's so exciting. You guys should see the pictures that she has sent me. She's gonna have such a awesome before and after. They are literally stripping this house like down to the studs. It's pretty impressive.
It had all lath and plaster in it, so we had to take that all down and all old insulation. So hopefully it'll be nice.
And she's getting married in June. So this girl is like doing it all. Thanks for sharing, Megan.
Thank you.
Well, we did want to thank everybody for joining us. Our next one, I don't have the date in front of me. It's the third Thursday at 3 p.m. So that's going to be April 20th at 3 p.m. And that's going to be Central Standard Time again. And we just really want to encourage you guys to share any concerns that are coming up, because it really does help out the other communities when they hear what you guys are going through as well, because one person who's dealing with a fire marshal might not know what they need to do to go through with it. And then they hear you guys dealing with it. And so then we can make connections as well. So thank you guys all again for sharing. And I'll be sending out the slideshow as well as the information for round 2 in the email following this.
Thank you guys.